Hello, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Practical PM, your friend, philosopher, and guide to product management. In this episode, we will continue to learn about event analytics. You would recall that in the previous episodes, we have seen how your product can fire an event whenever a meaningful user action happens, and how these events tied to specific users can help us answer a lot of important analytical questions about user behavior on your product. We used Mixpanel and saw how we can use insights, retention, and funnel reports there. In this episode, we will focus on event and user properties. We will learn more about them and also learn how the use of these properties can help us extract even more insights and information from those reports. So let's get started with event properties. Simply put, event properties capture information as it was at the time that the event occurred. And what kind of information can be captured? Information captured could be the details of the events themselves. It could be information about the state of the world or product at the time that the event occurred, or it could be state of the user at the time that the event occurred. To take an example, recall the order placed event that gets fired in our example of an e-commerce product when the user successfully places an order. What kind of information can be captured in events properties? We could capture order details like order amount, number of products and product categories in the order, list of products and product categories, where is the order being shipped, city, state, country and zip code, and so on. We could also capture information about the platform on which the order was placed. What was the device used? What was the product platform, web or app? If app, what was the app version number? What was the OS on the device, the OS version number, and so on. And then we could also capture user state at that point of time. How many previous order has this user placed and returned? The corresponding values of all those orders, the age of the user on the platform, etc. So with these properties captured, we can extract even more information out of the reports as I mentioned previously. How? For that, let us return to Mixpanel screen for a demo. Now you would recall this insights screen in Mixpanel, and you would also recall the complete purchase event, which is corresponding to the event that we have been calling order placed in our presentation. Now I am plotting complete purchase, so it's plotting total number of orders. I will plot data for 3 months. The UI here has changed a bit since we last recorded, but the features remain the same. And I will just use bar representation because that will help me illustrate the features better. Now you would also recall these two features which are available in almost all reports in Mixpanel, filters and breakdowns, and I kept saying that we will come back to it. This is the time to come back to these features. Let's start with breakdown. In this event here in the sample data, we have this property called total charge, which is essentially the same thing as the total amount of the order. So let us use this in breakdown and see what happens. As the name of the feature itself indicates, what it does is breaks down this event that has been plotted by this property that has been plotted. Let me sort it for better understanding. So what this is showing you here is that 44.9k orders were placed with total order value or total charge in this range, 60.2k orders in this range, and so on. Right? So breakdown is what helps you break down things. Right? There is another property available here, which is city. So if you wanted to see which cities your orders are going on, you could use it here. All these properties can also be used in filters, which again, as the name suggests, helps you filter down these specific events based on the property. So if I use total charge again, I could filter it to those orders where total charge is, let's say, greater than 100. Okay, so the total number of orders comes down to 530.9k. Now there are multiple event properties available and you can use them in combination in both filter and breakdown. So for example, let me apply a filter like city here. if I want to see only the orders placed in specific cities, for example, these, right? Now I can go ahead and again break it down by whatever I want. I will stick to total charge for now. Okay, so when the orders came from these three cities, this was the distribution of total charge here. Uh, I sorted it again. Now in this case, you're not seeing buckets, you're seeing individual values because there were very few individual values here. So the product did not need to bucket them to show this chart. They could use individual values. And you see peaks at 54, 133, 526. Now this could again mean something. For example, one of my guesses is that they have some very popular product where the order total comes to 54, for another one 133, for another one 526. Now I'm not super familiar with this sample data, so I'm not going into further details here, but if I thought so, in real data, I will go ahead and break down these orders by products to see if that hypothesis is correct, if all the $54 orders come with the same product. Right? You could apply more than one filters, you could apply more than one breakdowns here. So this is about event properties. Now we will learn a bit more about how breaking down by properties helps, but after learning of the user properties. So let's see. User properties, as the name suggests, contains information about the user. So for example, if your product captures personal information about the user like gender, date of birth, etc., then those could be put as people property or user property in your event analytics platform. It could also be product specific information about user, like their sign up date on the product, their first order date, total number of orders they have placed, total number of orders they have returned, and so on. Finally, information about users can also come from supporting platforms. For example, what is the number of support tickets a user has raised? What are the mailing lists they are a member of? What was their channel of acquisition, and so on. Now you would remember some of these properties I had also used in event properties, like number of orders placed and number of orders returned. So what is going on there? Some of these properties are pretty much fixed. Sign up date is not going to change, channel of acquisition is not going to change. However, properties like number of orders placed and number of orders returned changes with every new order a user places or every new order a user returns. User properties should be updated whenever that happens. So user properties always keep the information up to date. What is the current state of the user? And those are the things that are captured in user properties. So if it is important for you to know what was the number of orders placed at the time one particular order was placed, you should capture it in event properties, because user property will be updated later, but event property once captured remains the same. The next set of events will have a different value, but that event will not change. So wherever it is important to know about a property exactly at the time that the event happened, it should be captured in event property, even if user property is available, right? So now let's go back to Mixpanel again and see how the user properties can be used. Now, no surprises, user properties can be used in filters and breakdowns just like event properties can be. For example, here I have a gender available as user properties. If I only want to see orders coming from female in filters, I can select that. These are the orders that are coming from female. If I want to break down the orders to see if a specific gender places more order, overall level in this platform, it seems like we get similar number of orders from females and males. What happens if I restrict it to, let's say, some cities? And here you can see event and user properties can be mixed in the same report. It's not like you're restricted to using only one. Let us say I use these. So in these cities, you see you get more orders from females than from males, right? So this is an interesting piece of information which can be used in problem solving. Now, how exactly do these features and properties help in problem solving? Let's remember one of the problem statement we had taken in one of the earlier episodes, where we said for a food delivery platform, the number of order had suddenly come down on one day, right? And we had to find out what had happened. So what did we want to find out? We wanted to see, first of all, if the decline was across all cities or restricted to individual cities. So in that case, what would you do? You will come here and plot the event that is corresponding to order place. Then you will break it down by cities, and then you will use this nifty feature called compared to past, and you will probably only look at today's orders, and you want to compare it to the previous days. Right now here actually there is an increase in order from the previous day. Again, sample data, we cannot put much value on it, but you would have seen this bar for every city, and you would be able to figure out which cities it had gone down in. Then once you had figured out which cities it had gone down in, what you wanted to do, you wanted to draw a funnel for the users who placed the order, and then you had wanted to draw that funnel specifically for those cities. So in the filter here, you would have selected those cities where the orders had gone down. You would have seen the funnel, and here again you would have compared the funnel to yesterday to see which part of the funnel has really gone down. Right. So I will not be doing any further demo on the product here. I would leave it to you to explore the features that we have not covered in our episodes. Specifically, you should see what are all the other options available here, like aggregate properties and aggregate properties per user. You should also check out flows reports and also some of these other ones that we have not covered. And you should not forget to check out the cohorts feature under users tab, which by itself can give you a lot of interesting information, but which also helps you enrich the other reports that we have covered. All right. So this is all we will be covering in today's episode. In the next episode, we will conclude the event analytics by learning about how do we go about designing events, event properties, as well as user properties, so that all the analysis we have been seeing in these episodes becomes feasible and easy to do. Thank you so much for watching. Do tune into the next episodes as well.